There is a seed that contains more omega-3 fatty acids than almost any other plant on Earth, and it has been cultivated for over 8,000 years. Ancient kings passed laws forcing their citizens to eat it. It self-seeds so aggressively that one planting creates a permanent annual harvest. The supplement industry generates billions selling you omega-3 in capsules, while this seed costs almost nothing and grows itself back every year. And at the end of this video, you will know exactly which seed this is, how to grow it in any backyard, and why $4 billion in annual supplement sales depend on you never finding out. Before this seed had a name in any modern language, it was already sitting in clay storage vessels in the Fertile Crescent. Archaeological teams working in southeastern Turkey and northern Syria have pulled it from settlement ruins dating to roughly 8,000 years before the Common Era. That makes it one of the first plants humans ever deliberately cultivated. Before wheat fields stretched across Mesopotamia, before rice paddies flooded in ancient China, before corn was domesticated in Mesoamerica, this seed was already being stored, planted, harvested, and eaten by the earliest farming communities on Earth. Move forward 5,000 years and you reach ancient Egypt. Workers building monuments along the Nile received this seed as part of their daily food rations. The pharaohs fed it to laborers because it kept them working, but the Egyptians also used the plant itself for something entirely separate. They pulled fibers from its stem and wove them into linen, the same linen that wrapped their dead. One single crop fed the living and clothed the buried. Tomb paintings in the Valley of the Kings depict its harvest. Bundles of its stalks appear in murals alongside images of grain and cattle. The Egyptians treated it as essential infrastructure, not a luxury, not a supplement, a foundation. Now jump forward again to medieval Europe. In the 8th century, a king named Charlemagne ruled the Holy Roman Empire from his court in Aachen, in what is now Western Germany. Charlemagne passed laws, not suggestions, not recommendations, legal mandates requiring his subjects to consume this seed regularly. He believed it protected their health. His advisors documented the decree. 1,000 years before any scientist ever measured an omega-3 fatty acid, a king already understood that this seed kept people alive longer. Across the world in Ethiopia, families have been grinding this same seed into flour for centuries and baking it into flatbreads. In northern India, it appears in traditional winter foods prepared during the coldest months when the body needs dense nutrition the most. Ayurvedic practitioners documented its use for digestion and respiratory health in texts that predate modern medicine by hundreds of years. 3 continents, 3 entirely separate food traditions, the same seed showing up in all of them independently. That is not coincidence. That is convergent recognition of something genuinely valuable. And then there is colonial North America. Every homestead in New England grew this plant. Every household processed its fiber into linen cloth. The seed fed families through brutal winters. Mothers stored it in root cellars alongside potatoes and dried meat. It was as ordinary as bread. Then cotton arrived from the southern plantations. Industrial mills replaced hand looms. Cotton was cheaper and faster to process at scale. Within 2 generations, a crop that had been woven into the daily life of an entire continent was reduced to a footnote in agricultural history. The fields that grew it were plowed under for other crops. The knowledge of how to use it faded from family memory. But the ancient world did not have laboratories. They did not have chromatography or mass spectrometry. They knew this seed was valuable. They could see it in the health of the people who ate it and the sickness of those who did not. What they could not do was explain why. Modern science can. And the numbers are enough to make you question everything the supplement industry has been telling you for 40 years. This seed, when pressed into oil, contains roughly 50% to 57% alpha-linolenic acid. Alpha-linolenic acid is the plant form of omega-3 fatty acids. It is the essential fatty acid your body cannot produce on its own. You must get it from food. Chia seed, the darling of every health food store and Instagram influencer for the past decade, contains roughly 60% in its oil. This seed matches it within a few percentage points. But chia arrived in Western consciousness around 2010 with a marketing budget and a social media strategy. This seed has been available for 80 centuries. No marketing, no branding, no influencer partnerships, just quiet, ancient, consistent nutrition. But omega-3 is only the beginning. This seed contains up to 800 times more lignans than any other plant food ever measured. 800 times. Lignans are compounds that function as antioxidants in the human body. Researchers have examined their effects on hormone balance and cellular protection for decades. No other food comes close to this concentration. Not sesame, not whole grain bread, not any berry sitting on any superfood list in any health food store anywhere in the world. Roughly 27% of this seed by weight is pure fiber, both soluble and insoluble. The soluble fiber forms a thick gel during digestion that slows the absorption of sugar into the bloodstream. This is why traditional cultures ground it into porridges and mixed it into bread dough. They did not understand the biochemistry. They understood the result. People who ate it felt full longer. Their digestion worked better. Their energy lasted through the day. In controlled feeding trials, participants consuming roughly 30 grams of this ground seed daily showed measurable reductions in systolic blood pressure. Not marginal changes. Clinically meaningful drops. The kind of result that pharmaceutical companies design entire drug categories around. The kind of result that keeps cardiologists prescribing medications that patients take for the rest of their lives. Except this came from a seed that can be ground in a kitchen with a $20 coffee grinder. Now consider how the omega-3 supplement industry operates. Fish oil, krill oil, algae oil for vegetarians. Every single product in that market requires industrial extraction, purification in a factory, encapsulation on a production line, quality control testing, cold chain shipping across continents to preserve shelf life. The complexity of that process creates enormous barriers to entry. Those barriers protect profit margins. And those profit margins fund the marketing that taught 3 generations of Western consumers one simple message. Omega-3 comes from fish. Take your capsule, protect your heart. You are probably wondering what this seed actually is. You have almost certainly seen it before. You may even have a bag of it sitting in your pantry right now, pushed to the back behind the oatmeal, used once in a smoothie recipe you forgot about. The name has been hiding in plain sight. It is flaxseed. Linum usitatissimum. The Latin name translates literally to most useful. Botanists looked at this plant centuries ago and called it the most useful plant they could classify. And then the modern food system forgot it existed. The forgetting was not a conspiracy. It was economics. For centuries, flax was the primary fiber crop of the entire Western world. Every piece of linen cloth on earth came from the flax plant. Linen shirts, linen bed sheets, linen sails on ships crossing the Atlantic. Then cotton plantations scaled across the American South in the 1800s. Cotton was cheaper to grow and faster to process in industrial mills. Flax acreage collapsed almost overnight. When farmers stopped growing flax for fiber, they stopped growing it entirely. The seed disappeared from common markets. Seed suppliers dropped it from their catalogs. Within 2 generations, a plant that Charlemagne had legally mandated his subjects to eat became something most Western families could not identify if you placed it in front of them. Meanwhile, in the 1970s, 2 Danish researchers named Hans Olaf Bang and Jorn Dyerberg traveled to Greenland to study Inuit populations. They noticed something remarkable. Despite eating enormous amounts of animal fat, the Inuit had extremely low rates of heart disease. Bang and Dyerberg identified omega-3 fatty acids from marine sources as the protective factor. Fish was the delivery mechanism they studied. Fish oil became the product the supplement industry built. By 2024, the global omega-3 supplement market reached approximately $4 to $5 billion in annual revenue. Fish oil dominates. Krill oil captures the premium segment. Algae oil serves the vegan niche. Every product requires factories, patents, processing technology, and distribution networks. An entire industrial ecosystem exists to deliver omega-3 in a capsule. Now picture flaxseed sitting quietly on the other side of that equation. A farmer with a hand mill can grind it in a kitchen. A gardener with a small press can extract the oil in a shed. No factory required. No patent possible on the act of grinding a seed. No extraction technology to license. No capsule formulation to protect with intellectual property. Flaxseed threatens every single link in the omega-3 supply chain simply by existing. Search any major medical research database for fish oil, omega-3, and you will find more than 15,000 published studies. Search flaxseed omega-3 and you will find a few hundred. The ratio is staggering. And this is not because fish oil works better. This is because fish oil has funding. Supplement companies sponsor trials that support their products. They do not fund research that proves a kitchen seed replaces their capsule. The studies on flaxseed that do exist come largely from Canadian agricultural institutions, Indian nutrition research centers, and European food science programs. The knowledge exists, but it exists in places the supplement marketing machine never visits. Now here is the one thing the supplement industry will always point to when flaxseed comes up, and it deserves an honest answer. The human body converts plant-derived alpha-linolenic acid, ALA, into long-chain marine omega-3 fatty acids, eicosapentaenoic acid, EPA, and docosahexaenoic acid, DHA, via hepatic delta-6 desaturase enzymes. In reality, human conversion efficiency of alpha-linolenic acid to EPA is roughly 5% to 8%, while conversion to DHA is under 1% and frequently lower in men. While whole-ground flaxseed provides exceptional independent benefits, including blood pressure support, soluble mucilage fiber, and enterolactone-producing lignans, it cannot fully substitute for preformed DHA required for neurological and retinal membrane structures unless paired with microalgae-derived DHA. Alpha-linolenic acid itself has independent cardiovascular benefits that do not depend on conversion at all. The blood pressure effects measured in feeding trials come from the whole seed. The lignan antioxidant activity comes from the whole seed. The fiber that slows sugar absorption comes from the whole seed. None of those require conversion to EPA or DHA. The low conversion argument is scientifically accurate and commercially convenient. It protects a $4 billion market by making you believe the only omega-3 that matters is the kind you have to buy in a capsule. You can grow flaxseed yourself. It thrives in cool weather. It grows across hardiness zones 3 through 10, which covers most of the continental United States, nearly all of Europe, and temperate climates across every inhabited continent. The plant tolerates poor soil. It tolerates drought once established. It prefers full sun but manages in partial shade. Direct sow seeds in early spring, roughly 4 to 6 weeks before the last frost. Scatter them across prepared soil. Press lightly so the seeds make contact with the earth. Water during the first few weeks of establishment. After that, rainfall handles the rest in most climates. Here is where it becomes permanent. Allow some plants to flower in late summer. The flowers are small and blue, sometimes white. They last 1 day each, but the plant produces dozens over weeks. After flowering, seed pods form along the stem. The pods dry and turn golden brown. They rattle when you shake them. Eventually, the pods split open and seeds fall to the ground. The following spring, new flax emerges without anyone planting it. Year after year, one bag of seed purchased once becomes a self-renewing crop. Traditional European smallholdings grew flax on the same plot for generations without buying new seed. The plant simply continued. Harvest the seed heads when the pods are brown and dry. Thresh them by hand or by beating the stalks against a clean surface. Store the seeds in a cool, dry place, and they will remain viable for years. But here is the critical detail that most people miss. Whole flaxseed must be freshly ground using a small coffee grinder or mortar, and pestle right before eating to break its dense mucilaginous hull for full nutrient absorption. A simple coffee grinder works. A mortar and pestle works. Grind it immediately before eating for maximum nutritional access. 2 tablespoons of ground flaxseed daily is the amount that most feeding research has examined. Add it to oatmeal. Stir it into soup. Mix it into bread dough. Blend it into a smoothie. The taste is mild and nutty. It disappears into almost any food. Once ground, flaxseed meal and cold-pressed flaxseed oil oxidize rapidly when exposed to air, light, and heat, turning rancid and forming inflammatory lipid peroxides. Always store ground flaxseed or flaxseed oil in an airtight dark glass container in the refrigerator or freezer, and consume it within 3 to 4 weeks. For oil extraction, small tabletop presses cost under $100. Cold pressing at low temperatures preserves the omega-3 content. One harvest of flaxseed can provide months of oil, but store the oil in the refrigerator and use it within a few weeks. Flaxseed oil oxidizes faster than fish oil at room temperature. This is the one real trade-off. Freshness matters. Ground seed is more forgiving than extracted oil for long-term daily use. And unlike a fish oil capsule, which delivers omega-3 and nothing else, ground flaxseed delivers fiber, protein, lignans, and micronutrients all in one food. The supplement industry sells each of those as a separate product on a separate shelf at a separate price. Flaxseed combines them in a single seed that costs almost nothing after the first planting. Linum usitatissimum, most useful. Botanists named it that centuries ago, and the name never changed. The seed never changed. The omega-3 content never changed. The lignans never changed. The fiber never changed. What changed was who was selling what, and who was paying for which studies, and whose marketing budget shaped what an entire civilization believed about where nutrition comes from. The plant does not care about supplement markets. It does not care about patent law or quarterly earnings reports or cold chain logistics. It cares about one thing: reproducing. It drops its seeds every autumn. It returns every spring. It has done this for 8,000 years. It will do it for 8,000 more.